like cool kids. They don't try to make stay over and try to make it first classes. Like I said, I don't want to see because they want you to switch with those grades because they don't got no space. And I worked so hard, and I just barely got a seat on class. But I knew I would fail because I went to my professor after every class. Oh, they say the professor was really good. He's engineering. My oldest son. Oh, really? He's a master's program. Wow, that's a good engineer.
The House will come to order. Members, please take their seats. Sergeant at Arms.
The House is now in session. All persons not entitled to privilege of the floor, please retire to the gallery.
The members will rise and be led in prayer by Brenda Jordan, Associate Pastor, Glorious Church of God in Christ, Richmond, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, which will be led by the delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Good morning to the Honorable Governor Ralph Northam and the entire General Assembly delegation. Grace and peace. Let us pray. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Father, I come before you as a representative of your kingdom here on earth. I ask that your power, presence, and preeminent wisdom be endowed upon these elected and appointed public servants as they lead and govern this great Commonwealth of Virginia for the common good of all mankind. Grant unto them your knowledge and understanding in the handling of all the matters, agendas, and policies set before them today and in the days to come. We pray your guidance, wise judgment, and counsel as they seek out resolutions and resolve that affect us locally, statewide, and as a nation. We ask for your divine protection over each of them and their families. Safeguard and keep watch over our innocent little children, families, and communities. Rid our neighborhoods, schools, and businesses of crime and violence against the helpless, and make us united in our efforts to build bridges of hope, love, and peace in all areas, in hopes of tearing down the walls that divide us. Help us to realize that we are better and stronger together as one nation under God. Even as Solomon prayed, give your servants, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that they may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this your great people? This we pray in your great name. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The members will answer the roll call by indicating their presence on the electronic voting board. The clerk will close the roll.
Madam Speaker, a quorum is present.
Pursuant to House Rule 3, I've examined and approved the Journal of the House of Delegates for Friday, January 31st, 2020. Motions and resolutions under Rule 39 pursuant to Rule 40 are now in order. The clerk shall announce the first morning hour order of business, including any clerk's announcements or communications.
First morning hour order of business. Pursuant to House Rule 40, the Speaker requests members to use their request to speak buttons. And one reminder is if you'll hit your request to speak button, but not your microphone until you're ready to speak. It causes a capacity issue if there are too many mics on. So just hit your request to speak button at first. Thank you.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today's prayer was given by Brenda Jordan, the Associate Pastor of Glorious Church of God in Christ, and is located in Churchill in Richmond, Virginia. She has served under the leadership of her mom, Pastor Thelma Jordan, for over 30 years and has been instrumental in various ministries which include church administration and minister of music. She is also a visionary of Hands Compassion outreach minister. Pastor Jordan is very passionate about the power of prayer, which she believes is the greatest source of power to bring about change in all areas of life. She has a heart for unity, faith, and love, both for the faith community as well as extending that same love and light of God out into the community. And their tiny, tiny church has an amazingly robust and beautiful choir, and it called me from the street, and I've been going ever since. And I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to welcome Pastor Jordan and her associated clergy a warm house welcome.
Welcome, Pastor Jordan. Thank you for joining us and for inspiring us this morning. Delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise for an introduction.
Delegate McQuinn, you have the floor.
Thank you. Madam Speaker and members of the House, it is my sincere pleasure and honor to recognize a group of students and teachers from across our Commonwealth who are making a positive difference in their environmental communities along the James River. If they are here, the Bay Watershed Education Group, I'm going to ask that they stand. As a part of a 3-year Bay Watershed Education and Training grant competitively awarded to Virginia Commonwealth University, over 3,300 public school students from Charles City County Public Schools, Colonial Heights, New Kent Public Schools, and Newport News Public Schools will be exploring the role mussels and oysters play in sustaining our James River ecosystem. The project is being led by the VCU School of Education, the VCU Rice River Center, and the VCU Center for Environmental Studies. Middle school teachers from each of these school systems, high-impact science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, known as STEM, and hand-on experiences provide a deeper learning and understanding for teaching and students alike. Students from all 4 districts will exchange data on water quality, share their synthesized local field investigation data, and to support their stewardship project. We appreciate their efforts and that of VCU in helping to shepherd these types of transformative STEM learning experiences. Please join me and recognize these students and their teachers who are making a real difference in our communities along the James River. Let's give them a warm welcome of applause. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Welcome to the VCU Bay Watershed Project students, both middle school and VCU students, and it's a very impressive program. I hope this has been a great experience for you, and thank you for what you're doing for our ecosystem. Welcome. Delegate from Westmoreland, Delegate Wanson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Ranson, you have the floor.
I also have a wonderful group of students, and I'd ask them to rise. Madam Speaker, ladies of the House, I have a group of students that have traveled 70 miles to visit us here in the Capitol. These students are from Northumberland County Schools. They are the AP Government class, and they're here today with their teachers, Karen Baker, And Mrs. Brooks and Mr. Harris, they were able to tour our Capitol and then come down into the chamber and learn a little bit about the committee process. So I'd ask our chamber to give them a great warm welcome.
Welcome to the Northumberland County High School AP Government class. Hope you enjoy your day on Capitol Square. Delegate from Washington, Delegate O'Quinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Delegate O'Quinn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today, joining us in the gallery, we have members of the Virginia State 4-H Cabinet, and I would ask that they please rise. The State 4-H Cabinet is an elite teen leader group, and not only do they play a large role in planning and conducting the Virginia 4-H State Conference, but they're also responsible for enhancing the public understanding of 4-H. The Cabinet works to enhance the image of 4-H through effective communication about their programs and activities that are offered throughout the year. Members are called upon to mentor 4-H team programs in their district and serve in advocacy roles with elected officials, and hopefully many of you have had the opportunity to visit with them today, and they are a very impressive group of young people. The members complete and compete an application to be considered and are elected by their peers every year during the 4-H State Congress on the campus of Virginia Tech. I'm also proud to see among this group several of them from Southwest Virginia. So I hope that you will join me in giving them a warm house welcome.
Welcome to the impressive 4-H students. Notice many of us are also wearing green today. Enjoy your day and on Capitol Square, and thanks for what you do in the community. Delegate from Danville, Delegate Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, I rise for the introduction.
Delegate Marshall, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today in the gallery we have the Virginia Organizing today, and we have Paula Burnett and Nick Bellinger. Paula's from Henry County and Nick is from Danville, and they're here celebrating their 25th anniversary. Let's give them a warm round of applause, please.
I hope the folks from Virginia Organizing they're out there on Capitol Square, I'm sure, and enjoy your day. Thank you for what you do in your advocacy. Delegate from Shenandoah, Delegate Gilbert.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Gilbert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, we are joined on the floor today by a former member of this body, also my seatmate for a number of years. The gentleman from Prince William, Jeff Frederick. I hope you would all join me in welcoming him back to the floor today. Thank you.
Welcome to our former colleague, and enjoy your day. Nice to see you again, Jeff. Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for two introductions.
Delegate Carol Foy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The ACLU has a righteous history defending our rights to equality, liberty, and justice. They are here to advocate to repeal the prohibition in Virginia, which is legalizing marijuana in the Commonwealth. What I ask is for the House to please give the ACLU a very warm welcome.
Welcome to the advocates, members from ACLU. Thank you for being here today. Enjoy your day in Capitol Square. Delegate Carol Foy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For my second introduction, I ask the children from the Outreach Involvement Center and the 15 other community organizations from across the state to please rise. These organizations are here to ensure racial justice and youth justice is at the center of marijuana reform. They are also here to repeal the prohibition to legalize marijuana in the Commonwealth. Their advocacy has been felt here in Richmond and throughout Virginia. I ask for the House to please give these wonderful advocates a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the children from the Outreach Involvement Center. Thank you for what you do, and enjoy your day on Capitol Square. Delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an introduction.
Delegate Lopez, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Today on Capitol Square, we're joined by members and advocates of the Virginia Young Democrats. There in the gallery, I'd ask them to please rise. The Virginia Young Democrats are the official organization for young people in the Commonwealth who align themselves with our Democratic Party. They represent one of the largest voting bases in the Commonwealth and are using their power to secure a future that their generation needs and wants. As a former YD president, I thank them for being in Richmond today, advocating for progressive and inclusive policy and for moving our Commonwealth forward. I ask that we all give them a warm House welcome.
Welcome to the Virginia Young Democrats. Thanks for everything that you're doing. And I know many members of this body actually got their start at VAYD. Welcome. Enjoy your day on Capitol Square. Pursuant to House Rule 30, the Journal shall reflect that the following members are away on pressing personal business and are granted leave from today's session. Delegate Freitas. The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Second morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of member requests to move legislation from any uncontested to regular calendar. Page 9 of the calendar, House Bill 1304 moves to the regular calendar.
The House will be at ease. The House will come to order.
So bills move to regular calendar. First, page 9, House Bill 1304. Page 21, House Bill 775. Page 29, House Bill 1695. Those are all the requests to move legislation to the regular calendar.
The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Third morning hour order of business. The next order of business is the announcement of requests by members for legislation to go by for the day and the subsequent motion by the majority leader. Page 18 of the calendar, House Bill 342 goes by for the day. Page 21 of the calendar, House Bill 775 by for the day. Also, page 30, House Bill 134. Page 31, House Bill 1049. Page 32, House Bill 1333. Page 37, House Bill 392. Page 44, House Bill 1329. Madam Speaker, that completes the bills to go by for the day.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the legislation announced by the clerk go by for the day.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the legislation as announced by the clerk go by for the day. As many as favor the motion shall say aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. The clerk shall announce the next order of business.
Fourth morning hour order of business. The next order of business is recognition of member requests for points of personal privilege. Please use your request to speak button.
Delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Madam Speaker, I rise for the point of personal privilege.
Delegate Askew, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members of the body, as we begin the month of February, which every year since 1976 has been officially designated as Black History Month, we celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans and African American institutions. Today, Madam Speaker, I would like to take a moment to discuss the school and celebrate those who have come before us. Prince Anne County Training School which was later renamed Union Kinsville High School and affectionately known to its alumni as UK, was the first and only school for colored children in Prince Anne County, Virginia, which is now the city of Virginia Beach. Prior to UK, if I wanted to receive a high school education in 1924, I would have to pay tuition to attend Booker T. Washington High School, nearly 15 miles away in neighboring Norfolk, or leave the Commonwealth. At that time, this was the only option for black families who wanted to afford their children and educate beyond 7th grade in the region, which is why, in 1925, black parents organized to create the Prince Anne County Training School Association, with a dream of establishing a safe and decent educational environment where black high school students could excel. In 1934, a temporary school was established on the property of Union Baptist Church. In 1938, a four-room high school was finally built. In 1962, the Prince Anne County Training School changed its name to Union Kinsville High School. And in 1969, UK graduated its final class due to citywide integration of schools. For nearly 50 years, PACS in UK educated generations of black students in Prince Anne County. Though we moved past the times of de jure segregation, we still face challenges in our public schools, which is why I continue to fight for equity and inclusion in our school system. This past weekend, I had the privilege of speaking with Larice Yarn, a 1965 graduate of UK. Larice remembers opening the hand-me-down books from the white schools to find racial slurs written on the pages, because those students knew they would be going to the black high schools. Despite injustices such as these, young people such as Larice work to excel in their education and go on to become influential forces for positive change. Larice has had a profound personal impact on my own life and career path, and I'm thankful today for her story. As Nelson Mandela once said, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And we must continue to provide the best opportunities for all of our children to change the world. Madam Speaker, thank you for the time today to shine the light on the giants and the institutions that came before us. If you're ever in Virginia Beach, please take time to visit Prince Anne County Training School and Union Kinsville High School Museum located inside the Renaissance Academy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Spotsylvania, Delegate Cole.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Cole, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We are now approaching crossover and budget day. Considering that some of those days are weekends, we have few days to finish the work of this body before we begin taking up the other body's bills. I take the majority leader at her word that our business will be done on time, and I expect that to be the case. But there's one piece of business near and dear to me, and the absence of formal action on the measure does concern me. The second reference constitutional amendment for an independent redistricting commission. I understand that some in the majority may be having second thoughts about redistricting reform, but we have been told over and over again by Virginians that they want nonpartisan redistricting. In fact, nearly 75% of Virginians support this. They want this amendment to be put before them in November. And so, Madam Speaker, I ask today, where are we in this process? If we fail to act, we will only have the Senate's version to work with. The voters need to have their say on this issue. One of the things that I have heard over and over is they want this amendment. We started this process last year and I hope we can finish it this year. Let's put the amendment to the voters and let them decide this important issue. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate Ward, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You know, also as we begin celebrating the beginning of Black History Month, we also must note that we have a remarkable opportunity this week to shed another vestige of Jim Crow. Virginia is one of only 3 states in the Union to have a blanket ban on collective bargaining for all public workers. And it's no coincidence that the other 2 share with us a history of slavery and segregation. Our public workers are barred from organizing for the same reason slaves were barred from learning how to read, to keep people of color from finding power in numbers. I would also like to celebrate the inclusive history of the Teachers Union, like the National Education Association and the American Federation of Teachers. The NEA was founded in 1857, and one of the union's early objectives was to educate emancipated slaves. My own union, the American Federation of Teachers, has a long history of commitment to civil rights. Founded in 1916, the AFT issued their 9th charter to a group of black teachers in Washington, D.C., and noted that supporting black educators also meant supporting the development of educational opportunities throughout the country. AFT twice changed its convention location in the 1930s so that its members were not subjected to facilities that refused to provide equal accommodations to black guests. And they again moved the location of their convention in 1963 so that black members did not have to be subjected to Jim Crow laws as they traveled through the South to Florida. I stand today with pride with my union on the right side of history. Last week, we heard an argument from the Virginia School Board Association that minority students would suffer when their teachers have the right to collectively bargain. I assure you that if black teachers were given a chance or a voice, we will always fight for black students. We have been fighting for black students for as long as there have been black teachers, and even before, when it was against the law to educate black children. And it's no coincidence that some of our greatest civil rights leaders were also educators. In honor of Black History Month, I ask that my colleague be on the right side of history by supporting House Bill 582. This legislation, sponsored by my union sister, Delegate Elizabeth Guzman, will give a voice to Virginia teachers and other public service workers who will be a voice for our community. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will call the calendar.
House calendar for February 3rd. Senate bills on third reading, uncontested calendar. Senate Bill 582, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58-301 of the Code of Virginia relating to conformity of the Commonwealth's taxation system with the Internal Revenue Code, with an emergency.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the floor amendment.
The clerk shall report the floor amendment.
Floor amendment proposed by Delegate Watts. Number 1, line 3, engrossed title after section, strike 58-301, insert 58.1-301.
Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. With that technical amendment, Senate Bill 582 is exactly as we passed this House, HB 1413. We passed it unanimously, 35-0, and I hope it'll be the pleasure of the House to pass Senate Bill 582.
All those in favor of the floor amendment shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the floor amendment passes. Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 0.
Ayes 97, nays 1, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
House bills on third reading, uncontested calendar. Page 2, House Bill 180, House Bill 362, House Bill 385. Page 3, House Bill 414, House Bill 479, House Bill 575. Page 4, House Bill 586, House Bill 641, House Bill 688. Page 5, House Bill 723, House Bill 795, House Bill 822. Page 6, House Bill 835, House Bill 840, House Bill 990. Page 7, House Bill 993, House Bill 997, House Bill 1006. Page 8, House Bill 1059, House Bill 1240, House Bill 1273. Page 9, House Bill 1280, House Bill 1304, House Bill 1431. Page 10, House Bill 1455, House Bill 1457.
Delegate from Loudoun, Delegate LaRock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, could HB 414 be removed from the uncontested block?
House Bill 414 moves to the regular calendar.
Shall the bills pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 99, nays 0, abstentions 0.
Ayes 99, nays 0, abstention 0. The bills pass.
House bills on third reading regular calendar. House Bill 166, a bill to amend and reenact Section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia relating to notice by localities.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 73, nays 25, abstentions 0.
Ayes 73, nays 25, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 11, House Bill 549, a bill to amend and reenact Section 15.2901 of the Code of Virginia relating to cutting of overgrown vegetation, local authority.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall destroy that roll. HB 549, shall the bill pass? Is that 549? Yes, shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 72, nays 26, abstentions 1.
Ayes 72, nays 26, abstentions 1. The bill passes.
Page 11, House Bill 634, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-253.13:3 of the Code of Virginia and to amend the code by adding in Article 1.5 of Chapter 13 of Title 22.1, a section numbered 22.1-212.33 relating to school divisions of innovation, local assessments.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 65, nays 33, abstentions 0.
Ayes 65, nays 33, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 12, House Bill 1491, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 22.1-203.4 relating to student voters, Virginia voter registration.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 82, nays 16, abstentions 0.
Ayes 82, nays 16, abstention 0. The bill passes. The House will be at ease.
Page 12, House Bill 55, a bill to amend and reenact sections 13.1, 301, and other sections of the Code of Virginia, and to amend the code by adding in Chapter 3 of Title 13.1 an article numbered 3 consisting of sections numbered 13.1, 346 through 13.1, 355 relating to worker cooperatives.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 62, nays 36, abstentions 0.
Ayes 62, nays 36, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 66, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 38.2, 3407.15:5 relating to health insurance, pharmacy benefits, cost-sharing payments for prescription insulin drugs.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 98, nays 1, abstentions 0.
Ayes 98. Ayes 98, nays 1, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 13, House Bill 340, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 7 of Title 44 a section numbered 44209 relating to emergency laws, civil relief, citizens of the Commonwealth furloughed or otherwise not receiving wages or payments due to closure of the federal government.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 63, nays 35, abstentions 0.
Ayes 63, nays 35, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 386, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 24 of Title 54.1 a section numbered 54.1, 2409.5 relating to Department of Health Professions, conversion therapy prohibited.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 66, nays 27, abstentions 0.
Ayes 66, nays 27, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 432, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 56235.1:2 relating to public utility rate making, reasonableness of costs of contracting with small, women-owned, or minority-owned businesses.
The delegate from Powhatan, Delegate Ware.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate Ware, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I did talk to the patron earlier and also spoke in committee, and I'll essentially say the same things I said in committee. It's not unfrequently that we have a bill that comes before us that has two goods that are in collision with each other. In this case, we have that. The first is the bill itself, which is a good that many of us would agree to, encouraging small business and so on. The other thing to consider is that it says, and the pertinent passage is on line 18 of the bill, that the costs, as the SEC reviews them, shall not be found to be unreasonable or imprudently incurred. What that means is that we are telling the State Corporation Commission, you shall pay for this, even if it's 3% more. Originally, the bill said 5% more to build in this fashion than it would with the lowest bidder. And to me, that's where the problem lies. The ratepayers. You've heard me before on the floor any number of times talking about what is the effect on the little guy, the ratepayer. And while this bill is relatively small in its consequences, it will have an effect. There are a couple more that are coming along behind it that will have a significant effect. One having to do with undergrounding, but there's one even more so, perhaps the largest we will ever have voted on in my memory, and that is having to do with offshore wind. But that's for another day. I'll mention one other bill because it's pertinent to this, and that is Delegate Bagby's House Bill 1483, and it's a good bill. It'll be coming to us shortly, and it provides that a percentage income payment cap for low-income participants, capping their payment for their utility bills at 6 to 10% of their income. What I would tell you today is that if we continue to vote for bills like this that command the State Corporation Commission to increase bills and say this is prudently incurred, we are going to put a much larger constituency in effect for Delegate Bagby's bill. I hope we will not support this measure.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 57, nays 42, abstentions 0.
Ayes 57, nays 42, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
Page 14, House Bill 547, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Title 67 a chapter numbered 17 consisting of a section numbered 67, 1700 relating to Virginia Energy and Economy Transition Council report.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 54, nays 45, abstentions 0.
Ayes 54, nays 45, abstentions 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 576, a bill to amend and reenact Section 56585.1:5 of the Code of Virginia relating to electric utility regulation, underground electric transmission line pilot program.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 80, nays 19, abstentions 0.
Ayes 80, nays 19, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 757, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in sections numbered 2.2, 2812.1, and 15.2, 1505.3 relating to public employment, limitations on inquiries by state agencies and localities regarding criminal arrest, charges, or convictions.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 59, nays 39, abstentions 0.
Ayes 59, nays 39, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 15, House Bill 1041, a bill to amend and reenact sections 32.1-261 and 32.1-269 of the Code of Virginia relating to Board of Health, certificate of birth, change of sex.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstentions 0.
Ayes 52, nays 44, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 1042, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 26 of Title 2.2 and Article numbered 36, consisting of sections numbered 2.2, 2699.8 through 2.2, 2699.12 relating to Environmental Justice Council.
Shall the
Madam
bill...
Speaker?
Yes, delegate from Middlesex, Delegate Hodges.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate Hodges, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, this bill deals with environmental justice. And when you read about environmental justice and look at the definition of environmental justice, it typically talks about the fair distribution of environmental benefits and burdens. Nowhere in this bill does it even mention that. And in particular, what I'd like to talk about is the environmental benefits and burdens, in particular, the green energy policies as it relates to our rural and our urban areas. Now, I read an article over the weekend about environmental justice, and in it, it said, all too often, environmental burdens disproportionately impact vulnerable populations, people of color, and low-income communities. In the Commonwealth, that is no different. Now, in the article, it continued on and it talked about coal-fired power plants, it talked about landfills, talked about coal mining, and it even talked about the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. But nowhere in that bill did it mention the solar farm that dumped tons of mud onto roadways in my district, and tons of mud and pollution into the Rappahannock River, where these vulnerable communities had to live with that each and every day. And nowhere in this bill does it talk about these solar farms that are being built right up next to the floodplains in the rural coastal region. Now, when these floodplains migrate with sea level rise, where will these solar farms be in 20, 30, or 40 years? Where will they be? Underwater. Solar panels underwater that contain miles of copper and toxic chemicals such as cadmium telluride, hexafluoroethane, lead, and polyvinyl fluoride. The flooding and the decommissioning of these solar farms is an environmental nightmare, and it's a disaster waiting to happen. But folks are looking the other way on this. Why? Because they consider it green energy. Now, in King and Queen County, there's a 1,700-acre solar farm that's proposed. Now, this locality, it may get $20,000 a year from a 1,700-acre farm, $20,000 a year in annual revenue into the revenue of the locality, to the county. Now, Fairfax County, that signed a deal in December, says they will save $60 million in utility costs over the course of that contract. In addition, they may benefit from thousands of jobs, six-figure salaries from a large corporation that could purchase this electricity. In addition, the solar farm, these solar farms, there are approximately 10 agricultural jobs in that locality that would be gone forever. How many jobs are created from this solar farm in the locality? Maybe one person that flies a drone around. And I did the math. Those 10 jobs in King and Queen County are equivalent to 1,600 jobs in Fairfax County. In addition, a lease on a solar farm ties up that future land for 40 years. Now, when you look at an acre, some of you in Northern Virginia may have a hard time looking at what an acre is. That's a lot of land in Northern Virginia, but that's equivalent to 1,288 football fields. Now, let me ask you this. Would Northern Virginia locality be willing to give up the land space for 1,288 football fields for future economic development for $20,000 a year? There are less than 800 total jobs in King and Queen County, less than 800 total jobs, including county jobs and public education jobs. So those 10 jobs are just as important in King and Queen County as those 1,600 jobs in Northern Virginia. Environmental justice is not recruiting a new company with thousands of employees to Fairfax when hundreds of watermen can oyster a fish because of toxins in the Chesapeake Bay. Environmental justice is not creating thousands of jobs in Northern Virginia with six-figure salaries at the expense of those 10 jobs that are just as important as those 1,600 in Northern Virginia. To reach the governor's goals for green energy, hundreds of these solar farms would need to be built in rural Virginia. Now, I'm not here to say whether solar is right or wrong. What I am saying is environmental justice in this bill does not address a major problem with green energy policy, and that is the fair distribution of the benefits and burdens of these solar projects between the urban centers and our rural localities. Enormous wealth is being created in our urban centers because of these green energy projects at the expense of our rural localities. These vulnerable populations in our economically distressed rural localities cannot live with this each and every day. And I would vote that we vote against this bill, Madam Speaker, for these reasons. Thank you.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I rise to speak to the bill.
Delegate Herring, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When I heard the words that were just said, I was wondering whether we were talking about my bill, HB 1014. Then I wonder if the delegate even read the bill. Because on lines 42 through 44, if we first take a look about who would be represented, it's institutions of higher education and communities impacted by industrial, governmental, or commercial operation, program, or policy. Number 2, The definition of environmental justice in this bill comes from the federal definition. This is something created by a legislator from Northern Virginia. What I do recognize and why this bill was introduced and why previous governors have had environmental justice councils is that we have a shift in our environment. And if there are impacts to communities concerning certain programs, this advisory council will inform the governor that there is an issue. This council is to be composed of diverse voices, geographically, racially, in every which way, to make sure that policies that we're adopting are good for the Commonwealth of Virginia and do not harm regions. For that reason, I ask the members to vote for this bill.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 55, nays 43, abstentions 0.
Ayes 55, nays 43, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House Bill 1257, a bill to amend and reenact Section 32.169 of the Code of Virginia relating to drinking water, maximum contaminant levels, PFAS compounds, and other contaminants.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstentions 0.
Ayes 58, nays 40, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Page 16, House Bill 1503, a bill to amend and reenact Section 38.2, 3418.17 of the Code of Virginia relating to health insurance coverage for autism spectrum disorder.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 1.
Ayes 96, nays 0, abstentions 1. The bill passes.
Returning to page 3 of the calendar, House Bill 414, a bill to amend and reenact Section 67701 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Virginia Energy Plan, covenants regarding solar power, reasonable restrictions.
Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 95, nays 4, abstentions 0.
Ayes 95, nays 4, abstention 0. The bill passes.
Returning to page 9 of the calendar, House Bill 1304, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 54.1, 3300, and 54.1, 3321 of the Code of Virginia relating to pharmacy technicians and pharmacy technician trainees registration.
Madam Speaker?
Yes, Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Simon.
Can this bill go by for the day?
All those in favor of HB 1304 going by for the day shall say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, 1304 goes by for the day.
House bills on second reading.
Madam Speaker?
Yes, Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for a motion.
Delegate Herring, you have the floor.
Having voted on the prevailing side in which we pass HB 340 on page 13, I move that we reconsider the vote so a member can cast her vote.
Delegate Herring moves that having voted on the prevailing side the House reconsider the vote by which HB 340 on page 13 is voted. All in favor say aye. All those opposed, the motion is agreed to. Shall the bill pass? HB 340 on the board. Shall the bill pass? The clerk shall close the roll.
Ayes 65, nays 34, abstentions 0.
Ayes 65, nays 34, abstention 0. The bill passes.
House bills on second reading, uncontested calendar. Page 16, House Bill 941, a bill to require the Commissioner of Highways to place permanent electronic speed indicator signs on U.S. Route 17, reported from Transportation.
The delegate from Fauquier, Delegate Weber.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, House Bill 941 simply directs VDOT, and if they can't pay for it, then the county will pay for it. If the county's not willing to pay for it, then the private citizens can pay for it. Essentially having speed limit signs with the indicator markers, whether you're over or under at 3 of our most dangerous intersections on Route 17. Between Marshall and Warrenton, we have numerous accidents, and we've had a couple of fatalities at these 3 intersections, and so I humbly ask that the body engross the bill and move it on to its third reading.
House Bill 950, a bill to amend and reenact Section 54.1, 2312 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Department of Professional and Occupational Regulation, cemeteries, exemptions, reported from general laws with substitute.
The delegate from Westmoreland, Delegate Ranson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Ranson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 950 seeks an exemption for minor depot regulation for a national historic landmark called Historic Christ Church in Lancaster County. I hope it is the pleasure of the House to engross the bill and pass it to its third reading.
Page 17, House Bill 51, a bill to amend and reenact Section 9.1400 of the Code of Virginia relating to Line of Duty Act, coverage for a dependent born after the disability or death of an employee, reported from Public Safety and reported from Appropriations with substitute.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Knight.
Madam Speaker, I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The substitute is agreed to. Delegate Knight.
Madam Speaker, House Bill 51 goes to the Line of Duty Act. When the localities administered this program, the recipients were told any subsequent children born after their retirement from disability would be covered. When the state took over the program, this was found not to be the case. This bill allows for these children to be covered until 26 years of age. Madam Speaker, I move the House engross the bill and move the bill to its third reading.
House Bill 172, a bill to amend and reenact Section 17.1, 279.1 of the Code of Virginia and to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 17.1, 275.14 relating to creation of State Police, Virginia State Police Electronic Summons System Fund, reported from Courts of Justice with amendment, and reported from Appropriations.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Krizik.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the amendment.
Shall the amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The amendment is agreed to. Delegate Krizik.
Madam Speaker, members of the House, HB 172 creates the Virginia State Police Electronic Summons System Fund. This summons system saves time, saves money, and saves lives, especially our state troopers, who will spend less time vulnerable on the side of the interstates. I hope it's the will of the body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Page 18 of the calendar, House Bill 342 is gone by for the day. Page 19, House Bill 366, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2, 163.04 of the Code of Virginia relating to public defender offices, cities of Manassas and Manassas Park, and County of Prince William, reported from Courts of Justice and reported from Appropriations.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 366 establishes a public defender's office for Prince William County and the cities of Manassas and Manassas Park. Prince William County is the only Northern Virginia jurisdiction that does not have and is serviced by a public defender's office. It is also the second most populous county in the Commonwealth. It has the support of the County Board of Supervisors, the Commonwealth Attorney for Prince William County, Voice, NAACP, and the list goes on. I urge the body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 410, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 22.1, 215.2 relating to parental notice, literacy, and response to intervention, screening, and services, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The substitute is agreed to. Delegate Delaney.
Madam Speaker, members of the body, HB 410 requires local school boards to enact a policy to require timely written notification to parents of students who undergo literacy screening and receive services in response to not meeting benchmarks on any assessment. Currently, local school systems can conduct these screenings on students without notifying their parents, which takes parents out of the conversation and educational intervention for their child. This bill increases transparency and education for parents and guardians and allows them to decide how to support their child in and out of the classroom. I hope it is the will of the body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 460, a bill for the relief of Winston Lamont Scott, reported from Appropriations with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the substitute is agreed to. Delegate Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and ladies and gentlemen of the House, HB 460 provides financial relief to Mr. Winston Lamont Scott, who was wrongfully convicted of rape and burglary in 1976. Mr. Scott served over 5 years in prison, and in March 2019, the Supreme Court of Virginia issued a writ of actual innocence to Mr. Scott and vacated his convictions based upon previously unavailable DNA evidence. Mr. Scott's wrongful conviction had a profound negative effect on the course of his life, ladies and gentlemen. This bill is inadequate in addressing all those issues, but it's the best we can do under what's available to us under the Virginia Code. So I hope it will be the will of this body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Page 20, House Bill 491, a bill directing the Board of Directors and Chief Executive Officer of the Virginia Economic Development Partnership Authority to develop a marketing plan for industrial hemp, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Danville, Delegate Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Speaker, I'd like to move the substitute, please.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the substitute is agreed to. Delegate Marshall.
Thank you. So industrial hemp, it's rope, not dope. And so what this bill does, the substitute will let VDAC will convene a working group to assess the opportunities for development and manufacturing of industrial hemp. I move that we pass the bill.
House Bill 501, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 279.8 of the Code of Virginia relating to school boards, written school crisis, emergency management, and medical emergency response plans, annual review, delegation of duty, reported from Education.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Krizik.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the House, I have before you HB 501, which permits each school board to designate another entity or individual to participate on its behalf in the annual review of its written school crisis, emergency management, and medical emergency response plan. I hope it's the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third read.
Page 21, House Bill 587, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 2.2, 1147.3 relating to the Department of General Services, baby changing facilities and restrooms located in public buildings, reported from General Laws with substitute and reported from Appropriations.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the substitute is agreed to. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 587 requires that the Department of General Services include in their established standard policies regarding baby changes facilities in restrooms. Virginia residents should be allowed to change their children in a safe way, and we should ensure that the state buildings provide the means to all parents, including fathers. I hope it is the pleasure of this body to engross this bill and pass it into its third reading.
House Bill 775 has been moved to the regular calendar. Page 22, House Bill 783, a bill to amend and reenact Section 65.2, 402 of the Code of Virginia relating to workers' compensation, presumption of compensability for certain cancers, reported from Labor and Commerce with substitute, and reported from Appropriations with amendment.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Madam Speaker, I move the adoption of the Labor and Commerce substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the substitute is agreed to.
Madam Speaker, I move the adoption of the Appropriations amendments.
Shall the amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the amendments are agreed to.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 783, this bill adds cancer of the colon, brain, or testes to the list of cancers that are presumed to be an occupational disease covered by the Virginia Workers' Compensation Act. These cancers are not currently on the list of presumed cancers. The measures also removes the compensability requirement that the employee who develops cancer had contact with a toxic substance encountered in the line of duty. In addition, the bill lowers the required number of years of service for eligibility of cancers presumptions from 12 years down to 5 of non-consecutive services and adds a 5-year service requirement for heart and hypertension eligibility as no current requirements exist. I move to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 797, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 135.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to local school boards, lead testing, report, parental notification, reported from education with substitute.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 797 requires each local school board to submit its plans to test and remediate certain potable water sources and report the results of any such tests to the Department of Health. The bill also requires local school boards to take all necessary steps to notify parents if testing results indicate lead contamination that exceeds the maximum contaminant level goals set by the United States Environmental Protection Agency. I move to engross the bill to this third reading.
Page 23, House Bill 836, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 22.1, 299.8 relating to the Department of Education micro-credentials standards, reported from education with substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the committee substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 836 asks the Virginia Department of Education to develop a plan to adopt and implement standards for micro-credentials. Micro-credentials are an innovative and essential new tool in teaching certification in that they provide a high caliber but low cost and customizable alternative to other expensive teacher development programs. I hope it is the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 942, a bill to amend and reenact Section 3.2, 4114 of the Code of Virginia relating to industrial hemp federal regulations with an emergency clause, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Danville, Delegate Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, House Bill 942, upon publication in the U.S. Department of Ag in the Federal Register of any rule regarding industrial hemp that materially expands opportunities for growing, producing, or dealing in industrial hemp in the Commonwealth, the board shall immediately adopt amendments. Industrial hemp is moving quickly on the federal level, so what this does, it just allows farmers to stay current. So I move that we engross the bill and move it on to our third reading.
House Bill 1021, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 58.1, 3503, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to personal property tax, farm machinery, classification of forest harvesting, and silvicultural activity equipment.
Good.
Reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Pennsylvania, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the substitute is agreed to. Delegate Adams.
House Bill 1021 amends sections of the code relating to local personal property tax exemptions to allow localities to exempt farm machinery used for forest harvesting as already defined. The bill provides clarity for localities and will help promote the important forest harvesting industry in rural counties. I move the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Page 24, House Bill 1074, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 29.1, 521, and 29.1, 554 of the Code of Virginia relating to disturbing animals, certain species, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with amendments.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the committee amendment.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
HB 1074 is a bill to amend the Code of Virginia relating to disturbing animals, certain species. This is a technical change that changes the word molest and molesting to harass and harassing. I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 1081, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, 258 of the Code of Virginia relating to school attendance officers, petitions for violation of a school attendance order, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The substitute is agreed to. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1081 will authorize school attendance officers to file form petitions and motions for the enforcement of orders entered by the Juvenile and Domestic Relations Courts in response to the filing of an initial petition for a child in need of supervision. This would allow for the attendance officers to file the motions to bring students back in front of the court in situations where it is necessary to do so. I hope it is the will of this body to engross this bill and pass it until its third reading.
Page 25, House Bill 1174, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 8.01, 225, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to public schools, possession of undesignated stock albuterol inhalers, administration by certain individuals, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate
Thank you, Madam
Lopez.
Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 1174 allows local school boards to adopt and implement policies for the possession and administration of undesignated stock albuterol inhalers in schools. Anyone who's experienced asthma knows the only thing worse than dealing with it themselves is watching a child struggle to breathe during an attack. The seconds it takes to get to the rescue inhaler can feel like hours, and my hope is that by passing HB 1174, we can help alleviate the suffering of children who suffer from asthma and keep kids safe in their seats at school. Madam Speaker, I hope that it is will of the body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 1208, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.179 of the Code of Virginia relating to school boards, duties, assistance with school bus pass applications, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Tran.
Madam Speaker, I would like to move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Tran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1208 amends the code to require each school board that currently has a rule excluding students living within a certain distance from their school from accessing school bus transportation to establish a process that allows parents who are unable to provide adequate transportation for their child because a parent is providing necessary medical care for another family member to apply for a seat on the school bus, space permitting. Madam Speaker, I hope it's a pleasure of the body to engross and pass this bill on to its third reading.
Page 25, House Bill 1344, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 22.1, 298.1, and 22.1, of the Code of Virginia relating to Board of Education, teacher licensure, written reprimand, suspension, reported from Education.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Askew.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 1344 was brought to me by the Virginia Department of Education. This bill provides that when adopting regulations regarding the issuance of written reprimands of teachers and other school personnel required to hold a license, the Board of Education shall establish in such regulations the grounds for such written reprimands, and provides that for a teacher who breaches this contract, the local Board of Education or division superintendent, in addition to a written reprimand or revocation of the teacher's license, as in current law, may issue a suspension of the teacher's license. Madam Speaker, I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Page 26, House Bill 1349, a bill to amend and reenact Section 3.2, 4300, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services Division of Marketing, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Sussex, Delegate Tyler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1349 simply removes the references to the Division of Marketing of the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services and authorize the Commissioner of the Department to adopt regulations governing the voluntary use of grades, trademark brands, and other marketing for agriculture products, produced, packed, and marketed in the Commonwealth. I ask the body to engross the bill and pass on to its third reading.
House Bill 1353, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 3.2, 5400, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to federal acts, meat and poultry, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Clark, Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 1353 is an administration bill which simply updates sections of the code references in Virginia Code, which referred to an outdated section of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. It will allow VDAX to continue its state inspection program of meat and poultry plants and will protect businesses and help protect the $2 million a year in federal funding we currently receive. I hope the bill will be engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1458, a bill to amend and reenact Section 62.1, 44.15:21 of the Code of Virginia relating to water protection permits, administrative withdrawal, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I ask we move the amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is an administration bill. The legislation refers to water protection permits, which address impacts to streams and wetlands, as well as surface water withdrawal. It allows DEQ to administratively withdraw permit applications if the application is incomplete or the applicant has failed to respond in a timely manner to their request for additional information. I ask that it be the will of the body to engross it and pass it on to its third reading.
Page 27, House Bill 1469, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-299 of the Code of Virginia relating to teachers employed in accredited private elementary and secondary schools, provisional licenses, extension, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Clark, Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 1469. Madam Speaker, I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 1469 expands the length of provisional licenses for teachers in accredited private schools and schools for students with disabilities from 3 to 5 years, just as we did in public schools in the session in 2018. All it does is ensure consistency between public and private schools. I hope it will be the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 1568, a bill to require the State Board of Education to amend its regulations related to technical professional licenses to teach military science, reported from Education.
The delegate from Montgomery, Delegate Rush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the House, House Bill 1568 directs the State Board of Elections to amend its regulation to require that persons seeking a technical professional license with an endorsement to teach military science have either the appropriate credentials issued by the United States military or a recommendation from a Virginia employing educational agency. I hope it's the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 1581, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 8.0198 and 58.13981 of the Code of Virginia relating to the sale of tax-delinquent real property, correction of tax records, reported from Finance.
The delegate from Portsmouth, Delegate Heretic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1581 comes at the request of the Treasurers Association and simply would transfer from the local clerk of the circuit court to the local treasurer the responsibility for maintaining records of delinquent property taxes and the sales of such properties. I respectfully move to engross, I hope it be the will of the House to engross the bill and pass it to its third reading.
Page 28, House Bill 1582, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.13975 of the Code of Virginia relating to delinquent tax lands, threshold for non-judicial sale, reported from Finance.
The delegate from Portsmouth, Delegate Heretic.
Thank you again, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1582 would raise the assessment threshold at which a local treasurer would have for collecting taxes on tax-delinquent properties not less than 3 years in arrears from $5,000 to $10,000. It would extend such authority to improved as well as unimproved real estate. The bill would also increase the assessment range at which such officer may sell other parcels of property, again with a minimum of 3 years of tax delinquency, from at least $5,000 but less than $20,000 to more than $10,000, but not more than $25,000. The bill also includes increases the size of unimproved parcels that are subject to sale from 4,000 square feet to 1 acre or less, and corrects technical error. I hope it be the will of the House to engross the bill and pass it to its third reading.
House Bill 1613, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section number 22.1-299.8 relating to public school teachers' technical professional licenses, eligibility criteria, reported from Education.
The delegate from Suffolk, Delegate Brewer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill actually will allow criteria for CTE teachers very specifically to opt for local training when it comes to professional and technical occupations. Hope it be the will of the body to pass it on to its third reading.
House Bill 1630, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-298.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to public schools, provisional teacher licensure, certain individuals, reported from Education.
The delegate from Scott, Delegate Kilgore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the House, House Bill 1630 permits any school board and division superintendent to extend from 3 months to 6 months the period for the provisional license as long as that individual has achieved a satisfactory mid-year performance. Hope it be the pleasure of the House to engross the bill and pass it on to its third read.
Page 29, House Bill 1679, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 58.1-3703.2 relating to business licenses, acceptable identification, reported from Finance with amendment.
The delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I guess first move the amendment.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The amendment is agreed to.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I believe the amendment is agreed to. Why don't we do that again? All those in favor of the amendment shall say aye.
Aye, yeah.
All those opposed? The amendment is agreed to. Delegate Davis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1679 just creates consistency around the Commonwealth that if you supply a valid federal employee identification number, you don't have to also supply a Social Security number, and I hope it's the pleasure of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
On page 29 of the calendar, House Bill 1695 has been moved to the regular calendar. House bills on second reading, regular calendar. Excuse me.
Shall the bills be engrossed and passed on to their third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bills are engrossed and passed on to their third reading.
House bills on second reading, regular calendar. Page 30, House Bill 134 has gone by for the day. House Bill 7, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 3696.3 and 3696.17 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Virginia Fair Housing Law, unlawful discriminatory housing practices.
The delegate from Richmond.
There's a floor substitute, and it was reported from General Laws with substitute.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate Bourne.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, speaking to the bill.
Delegate Bourne.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 7, as the clerk has reported, has a committee substitute, and I would respectfully ask that this body reject the committee substitute and adopt the floor substitute.
Shall the floor amendment, no, actually. Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed? No. Committee substitute has been rejected. Shall the floor, will the clerk report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment in the nature of a substitute proposed by Delegate Bourne is available on IHOD and in the back copy room.
Delegate Bourne.
I'd move the floor substitute, Madam Speaker.
Shall the floor substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The floor amendment is agreed to. Delegate Bourne.
Speaking to the bill, Madam Speaker.
Delegate Bourne, you have the floor.
House Bill 7 is a bill to prohibit discrimination by local governments in their land use decisions based on the population that a proposed development is intended to serve. This is trying to prohibit discrimination based upon the fact that a development may serve and may provide for affordable housing. In addition, it also adds protections of race, color, religion, national origin, sex, elderliness, familial status, disability, and the bill protects against localities rejecting a proposed development, again, based on the income bracket that it is intended to serve. Through the process during the committee and subcommittee, some members raised concerns and questions about what if their community or locality has an overabundance of housing targeted to meet these needs. And so in working with those delegates, the floor substitute provides an exception to the prohibition on discrimination if, in fact, that locality already has 50% or more of their housing stock that meets the needs and serves individuals at or below 80% of the median income. I would ask that the body engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1030, a bill to amend and reenact Section 56585.1:5 of the Code of Virginia relating to electric utility regulation, pilot program for undergrounding electrical transmission lines, reported from Labor and Commerce with substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the body, here, HB 1030 would prohibit above-ground transmission lines along the I-66 corridor between Haymarket and Gainesville for 10 years. This basically says that you can still continue to do undergrounding along the existing hybrid route that is now under construction per SB 966 from 2018. But this would at least put a 10-year moratorium on above-ground transmission lines, which are different from distribution lines, I would probably mention here too. And so I hope it's the will of the body to engross the bill and pass the third reading.
Delegate from Franklin, Delegate Poindexter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I'd ask the patron if she would yield for a question.
Will the patron yield?
I yield.
The delegate will yield.
Yes, I would ask the patron, with underground like that, how do you determine where the break in the line is when there's a failure?
So, Madam Speaker and members of the body, first, they would do that with the same technology that they are already using along those along existing underground projects all throughout the Commonwealth. This is commonly implemented both among co-ops as well as investor-owned utilities such as this one.
Follow-up question, Madam Chair.
Delegate Poindexter.
Yes, I wonder about the time to repair underground versus if the lines were run above ground.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Because we are dealing with existing code based on 2018 from the hybrid program that was part of the giant omnibus bill that passed this body, we are dealing with a current existing project when we're talking about the hybrid route. All this does, this bill, all this does is it says that you can't go back along this route and build above ground transmission lines as were proposed in 2006 when they were proposed at 155 feet high, or in 2014 when they were proposed at 110 feet high. And so thus, to answer the delegate from Franklin's question on this, while we do acknowledge that to underground means that you are going to have to spend more time to deal with the repair, there comes with a couple of caveats to that. The first part is that an underground line is less likely to fail than an above ground line due to the fact that you don't have inclement weather as a natural contender for it. And the second part is that you are dealing with rare circumstances in which you do have to get in there. And because we have a transmission line that is now being buried, as the process has already begun. I even got a message this morning about warning my constituents along Jordan Lane, for example, that this is coming, as long as my constituents near south of Parks at Piedmont. All this does is just say that you can't go above ground along the existing area where the hybrid is already under construction.
I thank the patron for her explanation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 31, House Bill 1049 has gone by for the day. House Bill 1217, a bill to direct the Department of Transportation to identify certain at-risk infrastructure, reported from Transportation with amendments.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Tran.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Tran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1217 directs the Virginia Department of Transportation to identify roads and bridges in Planning District 8 that are at risk of deterioration due to recurrent flooding and to make policy and budget recommendations to alleviate these ongoing issues. I hope it's the pleasure of the body to engross and pass this bill on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 32, House Bill 1333 has gone by for the day. House Bill 1429, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 38.2, 3449.1 relating to health insurance, discrimination on the basis of gender identity or status as a transgender individual prohibited, reported from Labor and Commerce with amendments.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Rome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and to the members of the body, HB 1429 ensures non-discrimination health care protections for transgender and gender nonconforming Virginians for health care that is considered medically necessary. Trans and gender nonconforming Virginians are currently experiencing barriers to critical health care needs, such as preventive cancer screenings due to discriminatory practices and non-inclusive medical codes. This bill ensures that trans health care needs should not be discriminated against under any state-regulated health plans. I hope it's the will of the body to engross the bill and pass the third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1514, a bill to amend and reenact Section 2.23901 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Virginia Human Rights Act, discrimination on the basis of race, hairstyle, type, or texture, reported from General Laws.
The delegate from Richmond City, Delegate McQuinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and members of the House, House Bill 1514 covers a unique issue for a certain group of citizens of the Commonwealth. That is African American women, men, and children. Research shows that girls and boys with texture hair types are being unfairly policed and treated for the way they wear their hair. And so this bill really focuses on and is amended for the discrimination based on race, hairstyle, type, or texture. I hope it be the pleasure of the body to engross House Bill 1514 and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 34, House Bill 157, a bill to amend and reenact Section 46.2861.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to duties of drivers of vehicles approaching stationary vehicles displaying certain warning lights, penalty, reported from Transportation and reported from Appropriations.
The delegate from Hanover, Delegate Fowler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, members of the House, you may remember the towing and recovery bill from last year, and House Bill 157 is kind of picking up where that bill left off. You may remember that during our discussion of let me back up. The intent of the move over law was to protect our first responders, and also the House position was to also include the towing and recovery people who are actually called out onto the interstate by the state police in order to clear off the roads in order so we can all get on our way a little bit faster. So again, when the Senate took towing and recovery people out, and of course, I really appreciate the fact that the governor in his amendments during the veto session included the towing and recovery people back into the statute. So again, I think this is one of those occasions where the governor and the House got it right. And for that reason, I hope it'll be the pleasure of the House to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 257, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1, of the Code of Virginia relating to school principals, incident reports, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 257 is a list of enumerated minor offenses that no longer require the calling of police so that they can be handled administratively if principals, administrators, and teachers so wish. I hope it will be the will of the body to be able to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 271, a bill to amend and reenact Section 9.1-184 of the Code of Virginia and to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 22.1-279.10 relating to school resource officers and school security officers' data, reported from Education with amendments.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 271 would require DCJS to collect, report, analyze, publish, and disseminate data relating to incidents involving students and school resource officers. My hope is the will of the body to engross and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 35, House Bill 273, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-291.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to school boards, teachers, planning time, and planning periods, reported from Education with amendment.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 273 is a teacher retention bill. It requires each local school board to ensure that each elementary school teacher and each middle and high school teacher have one 45-minute uninterrupted planning period per day, and it's my hope that the bill will be engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 36, House Bill 292, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-280.2:3 of the Code of Virginia relating to school boards and local law enforcement agencies, memorandums of understanding, frequency of review, and public input, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Enrico, Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 292 would require memorandums of understandings between local school divisions and local law enforcement every 2 years. It would require school boards to publish these MOUs, and it would require notice and opportunity for public input. It's my hope that the body will engross and pass on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 308, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-254 of the Code of Virginia relating to public elementary and secondary school students' excused absences, mental and behavioral health, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Hope.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the body. This is now a Section 1 bill that requires the Department of Education to establish guidelines for granting of excused absences from school to a student due to his mental or behavioral health, and requires any student who is absent from school due to his mental or behavioral health to be granted an excused absence. If you've seen the data that we've seen over the last decade, mental health problems among our youth are at historical levels. Suicidal thoughts among teens has increased 46% in just the last decade. Rate of suicide has increased 56% among youth between the ages of 10 and 24. Allowing students to take a mental health sick days could help parents and counselors take notice and spark conversations. Hope we pleasure the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 365, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1-303 of the Code of Virginia relating to public elementary and secondary school teachers, probationary period of service, performance evaluation, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Carol Foy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of the House. House Bill 365 allows for the probationary period for teachers to be 3 years. It ensures that teachers with up to 3 years of experience can't be fired without due process. There is an existing code section that grants wide discretion to terminate any teacher in Virginia for incompetence, noncompliance, or other just cause. Virginia is only a handful of states that can deny a teacher due process for up to 5 years. I hope it's the will of the body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 37 of the calendar, House Bill 392 has gone by for the day. Page 38, House Bill 405, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 22.1, 6.1, relating to menstrual supplies, certain school buildings. Reported from Education with amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee amendment, please.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This bill would require that schools where you have students from the 5th grade to 12th grade provide in a place that's accessible for the students menstrual supplies and products to ensure that young women and young girls who are in school would not have their classroom experience be disrupted if they are at that time of the month where they have to have menstruation. And the goal here is to allow for schools to be able to find the best place possible to allow for the young women students to be able to access this. I understand that many schools currently offer this and have this product supplies available in the nurses' rooms, but for some students, they don't want to have to go all the way to see a nurse for something that's not a medical situation. This is a very natural thing that students have to do. So rather than ask the girls to go down to the nurses' offices, they would just use the convenience of the bathrooms. And I hope it'll be a pleasure of the House to engross the bill and pass on to its third reading.
The delegate from Chesterfield, Delegate Coiner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate Coiner, you have the floor.
Madam Speaker, access to health care and prevention, especially in our Title I schools, has been something, having served on a school board, I championed for 8 years. And when seeing this goal, I looked at the unintended consequences. And a Title I school nurse in my community shared her thoughts, and I decided I couldn't say it any better, so I'd like to share her concerns. According to Senator Boysko, school budgets currently cover menstrual product expenses, but they are often kept in the nurse's office, making it inconvenient for students. As an experienced Title I high-needs middle school nurse, I feel the need to address the inconvenient to the student statement. And I wonder honestly if any school nurses from high-needs schools were invited to this discussion. My hope is that sanitary napkins placed in all bathrooms are not treated in the ways that I have seen items be treated in bathrooms, such as soap dispensers and toilet paper and paper towels, by the sweet middle school students whose brains have not yet finished developing having fun in the bathroom. Seriously, I have seen some creative toilet paper use over the last 8 years, and I can only imagine the sanitary napkin art to come. But as a school nurse, I feel the need to share the invaluable relationship building that occurs when an inconvenient student with a small need comes to the clinic. Most of the time, it is students that truly also have big needs that come for sanitary napkins to my clinic. And many times, it is this monthly visit that is the clue that allows me to do the most important part of my job, which is connecting students and families to health care and health resources. When high-needs, underserved schools have a school nurse, student inconveniences may still exist, but their needs are addressed. This is something I've heard time and again from school nurses, that the small things that students come in for, our nurses are able to connect them in the community to meet real health care needs. So I would ask us at a minimum to reconsider from the 5th grade through middle school years, so that those school nurses are able to have those conversations with young women that help connect them to meet their health care needs in the community.
The delegate from Stanton, Delegate Avoli.
Madam Speaker, I rise to speak to the bill.
Delegate Avoli, you have the floor.
Thank you. As a recovering high school principal and being an administrator most of my life, I don't even understand why we're even arguing about this bill or even here. This is a necessity for children, females, that must be adhered to. And I can tell you a scenario that I can show you in a typical school, whether it's a middle school or a high school. You usually have the suite where the administrative offices are. You usually have adjacent to that a guidance counselor, and then adjacent to that is probably the school nurse. And then you have pods which are a distance away from that area. God forbid there's an emergency, which I saw plenty of, that these young ladies have to run and do what they need to do to get to a school nurse or etc. I would implore upon us all to think about this. We provide toilet paper. I think it's a necessity for young females to have this necessity in the school restrooms, just for convenience and the sake of distance. I hope we pass this bill. Thank you.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 39, House Bill 415, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 22.1, 277.04, and 22.1, 277.05 of the Code of Virginia relating to discipline, suspension, access to graded work, reported from Education with amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Delaney.
Madam Speaker, I move the committee amendment.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? The committee amendment is agreed to. Delegate Delaney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of the body, HB 415 requires local school boards to adopt policies and procedures to provide suspended students with access to their graded work during and/or after the period of their suspension. Not providing this work to suspended students puts them at risk for falling hopelessly behind in their education and puts them at risk for adding years to their academic experience or becoming part of the school-to-prison pipeline. I hope it is the will of this body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 449, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 29.1, 338, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to unlawful hunting, trapping, or fishing, prohibition upon conviction, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Hanover, Delegate Fowler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 449 was brought to me by the Department of Game and Fisheries, and I think everyone agrees with me when people violate the laws, they should be punished. This bill is intended to go after people that continually violate, in this case, our game laws. And essentially what House Bill 449 seeks to accomplish, in the first section of the bill, if a citizen has lost his or her privilege to hunt, fish, or trap due to a previous violation. Now, these violations include a violation related to the regulation of a loaded rifle or a shotgun, include trespass upon a licensed shooting preserve, trespass by hunters or fishermen, trespass by hunters using dogs. I think that's come up before, Madam Speaker. Refusal of a person on land to identify himself or herself, trespass on posted property. And I think I got enough people agreeing with me now. All right, Madam Chairman, if you would go a little bit further down in the bill. Madam Chairman, it will be my hope and pleasure that the body will engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading. Thank you.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 570, a bill to amend and reenact Section 22.1307 of the Code of Virginia relating to dismissal of teachers, grounds, incompetency, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 570 removes the definition of incompetency from the Code section on teacher dismissals. The definition allowed teachers to be dismissed for one unsatisfactory performance evaluation, which is too narrow to determine if a teacher is actually incompetent, which is the pleasure of this body to engross this bill and pass it into its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 40, House Bill 582, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 4 of Title 40.1 an article numbered 2.2 consisting of sections and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to collective bargaining by public employees, labor organization representation, reported from Labor and Commerce with substitute, and reported from Appropriations with amendments, and there is a floor amendment.
Delegate from Prince William, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the Labor and Commerce substitute.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to move the adoption of the appropriations amendments.
Shall the amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The amendments are agreed to. Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 582 relates to collective bargaining by public employees, labor organization representation. The time has come to ensure that workers, especially public employees, have the freedom to collective bargain. Virginia, as my sister, Delegate Ward mentioned, is only one of the 3 states that prohibit all of its public employees the freedom to decide for themselves whether they want to join together and engage in collective bargaining with the employer. House Bill 582 gives employees that freedom. House Bill 582 does not include any tax increases and does not affect the existing prohibition on public employee strikes or make any modifications to the Virginia right to work status. I hope it's the pleasure of this body to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
The delegate from Scott, Delegate Kilgore.
Madam Speaker, I think there's a floor amendment first. I might want to address that before I ask questions.
Will the clerk report the floor amendment?
Floor amendment to House Bill 582, offered by Delegate O'Quinn. Line 48, substitute after Section 40.1, 57.6, insert, and employees of officers elected pursuant to Article 8, Section 4 of the Code of the Constitution of Virginia.
Delegate O'Quinn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm explaining the floor amendment.
Delegate O'Quinn, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So since the bill passed Labor and Commerce originally, I've heard from a lot of constitutional officers, which of course, as we all know, are treasurers, commissioners of revenue, circuit court clerks, and sheriffs. And essentially, as we've all found out in some form or fashion, the localities do not actually control the constitutional offices. They're set up separately, and they're not county employees per se, even though some of those employees may be, but most of them aren't, particularly the comp board positions. The officers themselves certainly can't bargain collectively, as their compensation is set through the comp board and then subsequently the Appropriations Act. I know that in most areas, particularly in a rural area, most of these offices are small. There may be 1 or 2 deputies, sometimes 3 or 4, but most of them are relatively small offices. And because each of these offices are independent, I believe that you would have to have a separate bargaining unit for each one. So if you add the 4 constitutional offices together across all the localities, and not all localities have the same set, some will share a treasurer or something of that nature. I believe there are about roughly 625 separate constitutional offices across the Commonwealth. So that's the reason for the floor amendment. I think this is going to be really, really tough to try to do, and going to put a lot of burden on someone to collectively bargain 625 separate agreements.
Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Unfortunately, Delegate O'Quinn never approached me, so I didn't have the time to review what he's offering. So I will ask for today to reject the floor amendment until I have time to review it and I can take a look by tomorrow.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, may this bill go by for the day?
All those in favor of HB 582 going by for the day shall say aye. Aye. Those opposed, HB 582 goes by for the day.
Page 41, House Bill 668, a bill to amend and reenact Section 10.1, 2302 of the Code of Virginia relating to field investigations permit, archaeologist qualifications, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 668 just says that if you are saying you're a professional archaeologist and working on state land, you should actually be a professional archaeologist. So it is my hope and pleasure that this body will take this Indiana Jones bill to a third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 706, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 28.2, 1208, 67-300, and 67-301 of the Code of Virginia relating to offshore oil and gas drilling policy, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute, please.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Keem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this bill, House Bill 706, would simply reflect in our code what our current policy is, which is that we would like to keep a moratorium on new offshore drilling. We've had a lot of conversations in this body, and I'm sure we'll hear more bills coming up on the need for offshore wind. It's something that I and many of us support. But you can't have both. You can't have offshore wind and as a new economic opportunity at the same time drilling for fossil fuels off our shores. Our military opposes it, and Congress has for 27 years kept that moratorium in place. Unfortunately, there have been some conversations about the need to start drilling offshore for fossil fuels. So in order for us to encourage offshore wind, we thought it was time to clean up our code so that we would not be allowing further offshore drilling. And I want to thank the delegate from Westmoreland and the delegate from Virginia Beach for working with me to tighten up the language. What we don't want to do is in our language inadvertently affect anybody that's currently in this business. So we've narrowly tailored the language so that we don't affect anybody that's currently in the business. But going forward, we would prevent it from happening. I hope it will be a pleasure of the House to endorse the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 734, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 301 of the Code of Virginia relating to income tax, rolling conformity with the Internal Revenue Code, nonconformance with certain amendments, and with an emergency clause, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first thing about the committee substitute is it takes the emergency clause off this bill, which is one of the reasons, in fact, for the bill. As we started this session, we passed the emergency conformity with IRS that we do sometimes with white knuckles as far as all the CPAs out there and all of the taxpayers who would like to file their taxes and get their refund. But we're always trying to make sure that every provision is just right. In the past, a number of years ago, we did it automatically. Then we said, no, we're going to do it on an emergency basis. This tries to, in rolling conformity would mean it's automatic except if any amendment that the IRS passes in IRS code is of more than $10 million. If it's more than $10 million, then that has to be reported to the money committees and separately considered. Also, the bill, although it's rolling conformity, which affects all of the small provisions that most individual taxpayers are affected by, at any time, any element of the IRS code could be taken up as a separate bill, so in no way does it freeze separate consideration of particular provisions. I hope it'll be the pleasure of the body to engross the bill and pass it to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 42, House Bill 988, a bill to amend and reenact Section 19.2, 368.4 of the Code of Virginia relating to compensating victims of crime, persons eligible for award, grandchildren, reported from courts of justice and reported from appropriations.
The delegate from James City County, Delegate Batten.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate
House
Batten.
Bill 988 allows the grandchild of a victim of violent crime to apply for benefits from the Virginia Victims Fund. Currently, only a spouse, child, parent, sibling, or grandparent of the victim is eligible for benefits. The fund is a payer of last resort, and the benefits typically include funeral costs or counseling services. I hope it will be the pleasure of this body to engross the bill and pass it on to the third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 992, a bill to amend and reenact Section 23.1, 3101 of the Code of Virginia relating to A.L. Philpott Manufacturing Extension Partnership, reported from Education with substitute.
The delegate from Pennsylvania, Delegate Adams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the substitute, the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Adams.
House Bill 992 clarifies that the partnership, the A.L. Philpott Manufacturing Extension Partnership established by the General Assembly and operating as the Gen Edge Alliance to help create and maintain industrial jobs in Virginia, is a political subdivision. The clarification will provide consistency for the alliance in its dealings with other state agencies and procurement activities. I move the bill to be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 43, House Bill 1173, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 3660 of the Code of Virginia relating to tax exemption for certified pollution control equipment and facilities, timing of certification by the state certifying authority, reported from Finance.
The delegate from Arlington, Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill.
Delegate Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this legislation addresses concerns raised by the Virginia Association of Municipal Wastewater Agencies, wastewater treatment plants, and the contractors they hire to build things like the Chesapeake Bay nutrient upgrades or other wastewater projects rely on the existing certified pollution control equipment tax exemption. Enacted in 1972, it exempts purchases of property and equipment used primarily to abate and or prevent air and water pollution. This legislation will make a technical fix to ensure that the traditional upfront certification process used for decades is maintained going forward. Madam Speaker, I hope it's the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1205, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 62.1, 44.5, as it is currently effective and as it shall become effective, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to discharge of deleterious substance into state waters. Notice, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Tran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Tran.
Great, thank you. House Bill 1205 amends the process and method by which the Department of Environmental Quality must notify the public when deleterious substances have been discharged into state waters. I hope it's the pleasure of the body to engross and pass this bill on to its third reading. Thank you.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1327, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1, 2606 of the Code of Virginia relating to property taxes, generating equipment of electric suppliers utilizing wind turbines. Reported from Finance.
The delegate from Botetourt, Delegate Austin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this bill allows the locality to impose property taxes on wind turbine equipment at a rate not to exceed the local real estate tax rate by more than 20 cents per 100. I'd ask that the bill be engrossed and moved to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 44 of the calendar, House Bill 1329 has gone by for the day. House Bill 1352, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 10.1, 1402, and 10.1, 1408.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to responsible solid waste disposal. Reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Clark, Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, HB 1352 is an administration bill. It amends Virginia Code to regulate and address open dumps or unpermitted solid waste disposal sites. It allows DEQ to recover associated cleanup costs from responsible parties. This bill levels the playing field for those who follow the law and allows DEQ to hold accountable those who create open dumps. I hope it will be the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1407, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 2.2, 4321, and other sections of the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 58.1, 3.4, and adding in Title 58.1 a chapter numbered 19 consisting of sections numbered 58.1, 1900 through 1905 relating to misclassification of employees as independent contractors, Department of Taxation to investigate and enforce civil penalties. Reported from Finance with amendments.
The delegate from Hampton, Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First, I'd like to move the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee amendments are agreed to. Delegate Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1407 seeks to address the misclassification of actual employees as independent contractors here in the Commonwealth. For over a decade, the General Assembly has considered the harm of misclassification in Virginia. Misclassification creates a competitive disadvantage for Virginia businesses that follow the law. It deprives the Commonwealth of millions of dollars in tax revenues necessary to supply services to Virginia citizens, and it prevents workers from receiving protections and benefits to which they are legally entitled. This bill will create a lead agency and intra-agency to investigate misclassification. It will establish penalties for those businesses who commit misclassification. It will establish educational outreach to both businesses and workers so employee classification is better understood. I hope it's a pleasure of the House to engross this bill and send it on to its third reading.
Delegate from Virginia Beach, Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise. Would the delegate yield for a question?
Will the delegate yield?
I will.
The delegate will yield. Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would ask the delegate, given the amendment that she's already made between lines 228 and 229, it now reads that the employer shall demonstrate that the individual is not an employee before they are allowed to treat them as a contractor. My question is, who shall they demonstrate this to?
Delegate Ward.
Madam Speaker, I would say to the agencies that are investigating them, that's who would do that determination.
Delegate Davis.
Thank you. No, follow-up, Madam Speaker?
Will the delegate yield?
I will.
Delegate yields.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I'm reading this properly, I believe I am, that it literally says, though, before an individual shall be considered, so this isn't well under investigation, this is before an individual shall be considered an employee, that they must demonstrate that the individual is an independent contractor if they deem them as otherwise. And that's before I can file that person and treat them as a contractor. So if I'm not under investigation yet, and I hire someone, who do I have to demonstrate that to be able to treat them as a contractor?
Delegate Ward.
Madam Speaker, I would say that there are definite definitions of what qualifies as an independent contractor and who really meets the qualifications of an employee.
Thank you.
One more follow-up, Madam Speaker. If the
Delegate
yield.
Davis. Will the delegate yield?
I will yield. I think he already knows what his vote is, but I'll give him one more.
Delegate will yield.
Come on with it.
Thank you. Well, I didn't have it, but your last statement had me curious because it said it's very clear and there's a lot of things out there, and I know the IRS code, and and so I was just curious. So it looks like there are 7,942 determination requests by the IRS on whether a business is or an employee is a contractor or an employee, with another 4,829 on just an opinion, all issued between 2015 and 2017, with the average number of days for IRS to return an opinion at 419 days. So if it's that clear, Madam Delegate, or Madam Speaker, can the delegate tell me why it takes so long for the IRS to get back on a clear determination when an employer submits an inquiry, and why we can do it better?
Delegate Ward.
It's certainly outside of my pay grade to know what the IRS does and when they do it. But again, I just want to refer to the bill that there will be an educational outreach to businesses and workers so that it will be better understood.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Speaking to the bill at the appropriate time.
Delegate Davis, you have the floor.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, there's no doubt that that study was done and there may be money left on the table, but let's understand why we have a problem with proper classification. And it's not the employer's situation and they're purposely misclassifying. It's because of the situation that exists with the IRS. So let's take a look at, just for a second, lines 146 and through 157, because this is what gives the tax commissioner the ability to share information with other agencies if the agency decides that someone may be misclassifying. The first question I would ask is, what information does someone think that the tax department actually has? Because if you go down to the IRS code specifically, and you can find all this online on the IRS website, there was a 20-factor rule that they used to use. Now it's just basically 3 categories. Behavioral, does the company control or have the right to control what the worker does and how they do it? Financial, are the business aspects of the worker's job controlled by the payer? Third, are there written contracts or employee-type benefits, pension plans, insurance, etc. out there? Now, none of that, absolutely none of that, would the tax department have in their control. So the first question I have is, why are we going to start a witch hunt with some of these agencies and have them go to the Department of Tax when they don't have that information? But the biggest issue is right now, that determination lies with the IRS. And you heard how many SS-8 forms that have been filed with the IRS from 2015 to 2018. That's a form that if you are an employer and you do not know whether that person is a contractor or an employee, you file. And the average number of days is 419 days. The longest is 1,062 days. Now, this didn't come from me, and it didn't come from some article out there. This came from a study and an inquiry done over a number of years by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. And this whole report's online. So what we have here is we have businesses in Virginia that are trying to do the right thing, but they're not quite sure. And they're making a determination, and many of them are getting hold of the IRS, but the IRS don't follow up in time. And if you think this is black and white for the purposes of this bill, refer to the IRS language themselves. Those 3 factors, behavioral, financial, and type of relationship. Businesses must weigh all the factors when determining whether a worker is an employee or contractor. Some factors may indicate the worker is an employee or an independent contractor. There is no magic or set number of factors that make them one or the other. The key is to look at the entire relationship, consider the degree or extent of the direct control, and the amount of factors coming up with that determination. Madam Speaker, this isn't easy to determine. The fact that there's so many SS-8 forms prove it. And if we want to get to the bottom with this, file something with the IRS. Tell them to do their job better so businesses can adhere to things when they're not quite sure what the IRS is trying to do.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its 3rd reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 45, House Bill 1430, a bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding in Chapter 41.1 of Title 3.2, a section numbered 3.2, 4121, and other sections of the Code of Virginia consisting of relating to industrial hemp, standards for extracts, regulations, fund, reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with substitute.
The delegate from Clark, Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 1430 will ensure regulatory certainty to protect the farmers, producers, and consumers that we already have in Virginia. The hemp industry is new in Virginia, but it does already exist. And this bill amends the Virginia Food and Drink Law to define industrial hemp extract and requires the Board of Agriculture and Consumer Services to set health and safety standards for this new industry. It is the result of a work group between the Secretary of Agriculture and the Secretary of Health requested by the General Assembly last year. The substitute conforms this bill to the Senate version with an emergency clause. I hope it will be the will of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1448, a bill to amend and reenact Sections 2.2, 4002, and other sections of the Code of Virginia relating to management of the Menhaden fishery. Reported from Agriculture Chesapeake and Natural Resources with substitute, and there is a technical floor amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker, I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Madam Speaker, I move the technical amendment which came from enrolling.
Will the clerk report the technical amendment?
Amendment proposed to House Bill 1448 by Delegate Plum, line 229, substitute after non-legislative, strike citizens, insert citizen.
Shall the floor, Delegate Plum.
It's a technical amendment, Madam Speaker. Hope we will approve it.
Shall the floor amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, the floor amendment is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1448 transfers the authority for the management of the Atlantic Menhaden from the General Assembly to the Virginia Marine Resources Commission. Now, Madam Speaker, members of the House, it's lost in the annals of history how it is that the General Assembly ever assumed an executive function of trying to manage a fishery. But nonetheless, that's been the case, one that's been controversial over the years. But now I'm pleased to say that the industry, the associated industries and so on, have come together with a recognition that the way to do this is scientifically through the Virginia Marine Resources Commission, which manages all the other fishery resources for the Commonwealth. I'm pleased that with the compromise that's been worked out, no one appeared to oppose the bill. In fact, the president of Omega Protein came in support and gave testimony in support of the bill. But I'd like to also thank people like Delegate Knight, who worked for many years trying to convince us that this was the right move, and I hope it'll be the pleasure of the House to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Page 46, House Bill 1586, a bill to amend and reenact Section 33.1, 1526.1 of the Code of Virginia relating to the Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority allocation of funds, reported from Appropriations with amendment.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House Appropriations Committee amendment.
Shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, the committee amendment is agreed to. Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. HB 1586 as amended is just a simple clarification that the limit on any growth in WMATA spending would not include any service increases approved, such as, for example, the Silver Line, but rather the ongoing budget. I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to engross the bill, pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1615, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1809 of the Code of Virginia relating to recordation tax supplemental writings, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker and ladies and gentlemen of the House, HB 1615 is a bill only a secure transactions lawyer could love. It clarifies that the recordation tax payable on a deed of trust or mortgage related to a multi-jurisdiction credit facility is to be based on the value of the Virginia property relative to the value of all the property securing the facility if the deed of trust or mortgage secures the entire amount of the credit facility, and that if it doesn't secure the entire amount of the credit facility, the recordation tax is based on the amount secured as provided by 58.1-803A1. It further clarifies that the recordation tax payable on a modification of the prior deed of trust or mortgage and whether it should be exempt from recordation tax as a supplemental writing. I hope it will be the pleasure of the body to engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House Bill 1623, a bill to amend and reenact Section 58.1817 of the Code of Virginia relating to fee for open space preservation, reported from Finance with substitute.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the committee substitute.
Shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The committee substitute is agreed to. Delegate Plum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think we're all familiar with the Virginia Outdoor Foundation and the wonderful work it does in preserving open space, farmland, and forest land through easements and so on. Its fee structure has not been updated since 2004, although the amount of land that it controls and the work that it does has increased exponentially. I hope it to be the pleasure of the House to engross this bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
May I move this bill go by temporarily?
All those in favor of this bill going by temporarily shall say aye. Those opposed, the bill goes by temporarily.
Page 21 of the calendar, House Bill 775 has gone by for the day. Page 29 of the calendar, House Bill 1695. This is returning to, nope, House Bill 1695. A bill to amend the Code of Virginia by adding a section numbered 10.1-1188.1 and by adding in Chapter 5 of Title 29.1 an article numbered 8 consisting of sections numbered 29.1-578 and 29.1-579 relating to Wildlife Corridor Action Plan, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources.
The delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Bulova.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, ladies and gentlemen of the House, House Bill 1695 directs the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries to work with stakeholders to establish a Wildlife Corridor Action Plan. Each year in Virginia, there are over 5,000 crashes involving animals on our highways. The action plan will help identify existing wildlife automobile conflicts and then prioritize remediation projects. I think the most important part of the bill, though, is it requires VDOT to consider options for reducing these conflicts when they are building new infrastructure or they're expanding existing infrastructure. Madam Speaker, I move that we engross the bill and pass it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
Returning to page 47 of the calendar, House Bill 1707. A bill to amend and reenact Sections 45.1, 396, and 45.1, 397 of the Code of Virginia, and to repeal 45.1, 400 relating to the Clean Energy Advisory Board, reported from Agriculture, Chesapeake, and Natural Resources with amendment.
The delegate from Petersburg, Delegate Aird.
And there is a floor substitute.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to reject the committee amendments.
Shall the committee amendments be agreed to? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? No. The committee amendments are rejected. Delegate Aird.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to move the floor substitute.
Will the clerk report the floor substitute?
Floor amendment in the nature of a substitute to House Bill 1707 is available on IHOD and in the back copy room.
Delegate Aird.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. House Bill 1707 merely extends the sunset from legislation we passed last session establishing the Clean Energy Advisory Board. The legislation also expands the board from 15 to 17, and it includes criteria for the makeup of the board. And lastly, it allows DMME to work in consultation with the board to oversee and administer programming. I ask that we engross the bill and move it on to its third reading.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, Delegate Weber.
I can't seem to pull it up, and the gentleman in the back has not gotten the floor substitute.
Did you
refresh? Should work.
It's also available on LIS.
Ah, there it is. If it would come up the first time, it'd be easier.
Is there a motion for the floor substitute? Shall the floor substitute be agreed to? All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? The floor substitute is agreed to. Delegate Aird.
I'd ask that we engross the bill and move it on to its third reading.
Shall the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The bill is engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
House resolutions on the regular calendar. Page 47, House Joint Resolution 148 has gone by until February 6th. Memorial resolutions. Memorial resolutions to be considered in block are found on pages 48 and 49 of the printed calendar.
Delegate from Newport News, Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a motion.
Delegate Mullen.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would just ask that HJ4 go by until the 16th.
Delegate Mullen requests that HJ4 goes by until the 16th. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? HJ4 is removed from the block. Does any member have any other resolution they'd like to remove from the block? Hearing none, those in favor of adopting these resolutions in block laid on the Speaker's table found on page 48, 49 with the exception of HJR4 shall rise. The resolutions are agreed to.
Commending resolutions. The resolutions to be adopted in block are listed on pages 49 through 51 of the calendar.
Does any member desire to remove any resolution from the block? All those in favor of adopting the commending resolutions laid on the Speaker's table found on pages 49 to 51 will say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The resolutions are agreed to.
Madam Speaker, that completes the calendar.
Per House Rule 51, the House is returned to morning hour. Does the clerk have any additional announcements or communications?
Final reminder to file your statement of economic interest by tonight. Meetings for Monday, February 3rd. House Committee on Finance meets immediately upon adjournment of the House. This is an additional meeting. House Finance, immediately upon adjournment of the House, House Committee Room. Courts of Justice Committee has been canceled. Courts of Justice Civil Subcommittee meets immediately upon adjournment of Finance Committee, House Room 1. Courts of Justice Criminal Subcommittee meets immediately upon adjournment of Finance, House Room 3. Appropriations, Compensation, and General Government Subcommittee meets 15 minutes after the adjournment of the House in the shared committee room. This is an additional meeting. Appropriations, Elementary and Secondary Subcommittee, this is an additional meeting. Immediately upon adjournment of the Compensation and General Government Subcommittee in the shared committee room. Appropriations, Higher Ed Subcommittee, this is a change in time. Will meet immediately upon adjournment of the Appropriations, Elementary and Secondary Subcommittee in the shared committee room. Appropriations, Transportation and Public Safety Subcommittee. This is a change in time. Immediately upon adjournment of the Higher Education Subcommittee in the shared committee room. Appropriations Committee. This is a change in time. Meets immediately upon adjournment of the Transportation and Public Safety Subcommittee in the shared committee room. Agriculture, Chesapeake and Natural Resources, Chesapeake Subcommittee meets at 4 p.m., 300A Subcommittee Room. Education, Post-Secondary and Higher Ed Subcommittee meets, this is an additional meeting, meets at 4 p.m., 400C Subcommittee Room. Transportation, Motor Vehicles Subcommittee meets 4 p.m., 400A Subcommittee Room. Privileges and Elections, Constitutional Amendments Subcommittee has been canceled. Health, Welfare, and Institutions Health Subcommittee meets, this is a change in time, 5 p.m., 400B Subcommittee Room. Northern Virginia Delegation Caucus, 5 p.m., 6th floor, Senate Leadership Conference Room. Rules Studies Subcommittee meets 6:30 p.m., 6th floor Speakers Conference Room. Democratic Caucus meets 8 p.m., House Committee Room. Meetings for Tuesday morning, February 4th. Privileges and Elections, Elections Subcommittee meets 7 a.m. This is a change in time, 7 a.m., House Room 1. Labor Caucus, 7:30 a.m., 300B Subcommittee Room. Conservative Caucus, 7:30 a.m., 200B Subcommittee Room. Animal Welfare Caucus, 8 a.m., 200B Subcommittee Room. Health, Welfare, and Institutions Committee, 8 a.m., House Committee Room. Public Safety Firearms Subcommittee, 8:30 a.m., 300A Subcommittee Room. Transportation Committee, 9 a.m., House Room 3. Democratic Caucus meets at 10 a.m., House Room 1. This is a change in time, 10 a.m., House Room 1. Republican Caucus, 11 a.m., House Room 2. Madam Speaker, that completes the meetings.
The delegate from Clark County, Delegate Goditis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an announcement.
Delegate Goditis, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For those of you who have been missing the VERE, otherwise known as VEER caucus, we're a little late starting, but here we are. And thanks very much to Delegates Lopez, Bulova, and Sullivan for carrying this. They have handed this off to Delegates Simons, Guy, and myself. So Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, such a convenient time, such a convenient place, Subcommittee Room 300B, and I'm sure you will all be there. We have League of Conservation voters coming to speak to us tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Delegate from Fairfax, Delegate Watts.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise for an announcement.
Delegate Watts, you have the floor.
The announcement is that I made a mistake this morning in Democratic Caucus for all members of the House Finance Committee. It is not House Room 3, but as it was just announced by the clerk, we're over in the Pocahontas building. Again, to all members of Finance, we have only one bill to hear. Please come as soon as you possibly can so that we can take up the omnibus transportation bill and act upon it in a timely way for review by Appropriations Committee.
Delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourns to reconvene at 12 noon.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that when the House adjourned today, it adjourned to reconvene tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon. As many as favor that motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. Delegate Herring.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
The delegate from Alexandria, Delegate Herring, moves that the House do now adjourn. As many as favor the motion will say aye. Those opposed, the motion is agreed to. The House stands adjourned until tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon.